Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to win fellowships for your graduate program. Before I get into the actual tips on or success tips, I want to talk about my success story when it comes to fellowships, as well as some preliminaries to, before you start applying for a fellowship program. So for me, I am a fellow currently of a departmental fellowship that covers my tuition for as long as I'm a master's student. And some preliminaries that you should focus on before actually applying for a fellowship program is to like just get your Excel sheet together with the list of scholarships or fellowships that you have. List out. I advise trying to apply for 2 fellowships in the academic period. I have a list of some nationally competitive, a link that goes, shows some nationally competitive fellowships that I think everyone should look into to just know the variety out there. And also, you should know that there are national fellowships, national fellowships, as well as school fellowships, and there's statewide fellowships. For national fellowships like the DOD or NSF, or for school fellowships like the one I won. There's some school fellowships that are just departmental based, and statewide scholarships. One of them that I know is the teaching fellowship there here in Maryland. So there's a large variety of fellowships out there. So don't leave yourself out. I believe that you guys can find success. So let's get into the tips. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the first tip that I have for you when applying for fellowships is make sure you get the personal statement right. So in a personal statement, they look at the holistic view of the person. They're looking at not only your research experience or your work experience, they're looking at also your contributions to the community, and also they're looking at your story. What made you want to become an engineer or scientist? What has captivated you? It's your story that will allow for people to actually care about what you have to offer. So when you talk about how you can contribute to society, when you talk about what you want to do as a career, and when you talk about how you're currently contributing to society, your efforts to the community, it could be leadership roles. When you give a holistic view of yourself, you are setting yourself up for a lot of success. So I want you to describe all of that in your personal statement. The second tip is make sure your research statement is not only original, but has a way of making an impact in society. So, for example, the NSF has this thing called NSF Big 10 Big Ideas, where it gives you 10 big topics that, it, you know, if you focus on any of those topics, it'll bring a lot of attention to your essay, because those are some of the biggest topics in society. Or such as the DOD, which has a focus on the DOD's missions. When you're writing these research statements, I want you guys to be able to dedicate time to focus on how in the world can I make this impact society? How is it contributing to society? Is it following the guidelines of the fellowship I'm applying for? And is this something that is related to even the research that I'm doing? And I'll talk about later in the video how important it is to have an advisor who works in that field or knows a little bit about that field to give you advice so that you can tailor it and make a great research statement. But that's tip number 2. Make sure it's original, and also make sure that it can contribute to society. The third tip is make sure your application showcases your leadership and your outreach. There will be, depending on the application, there will be an opportunity for you to describe your extracurriculars. I want you guys to really dedicate time. If you're not involved in any organizations or clubs or whatnot, get yourself in a leadership position. Show that you're multifaceted. You're not just, oh, I'm gonna just focus on research. That's all I know. You're a person who cares about their community. You're a person who's involved, who wants to socialize, who wants to better themselves and understand people. So I want you guys to be able to, list out the leadership roles you're in, any extracurriculars, and if you're making an impact in your community, talk about that. Right now, I'm a youth leader. I'm also someone who makes encouraging messages for people. This is like my way of making an impact. So talk about it. So this is where you have sections in your application where you can really stand out from the application pool. So definitely list out your leadership and community contributions. Fourth point is you guys should relate your work experience and research to your actual career interest. Show that what you're doing in industry or what you're doing in your labs is benefiting you and is getting you closer to your end goal, whether it be a mechanical engineer or whether it be a biomedical engineer, whatever the case may be. I want you guys to be able to list out your research experience and your work experience. There will be a section like that for the extracurriculars, and that's something that you should do. List out the experience that you think will benefit you the most when it comes towards to this application as you're applying to a PhD program or master's program, and let it be the ones that you list out should be related to your career interest. If you worked at McDonald's for 1 year, but you did 5 years of research in a lab about biophotonics or something like that, you should probably not mention the McDonald's experience because it's not going to benefit you. The fifth point is for you to receive good quality recommendation letters. This is highly crucial for any fellowship application. You need recommendation letters that can advocate for your character and your quality of work. And in order for you to get these recommendation letters, you have to know your professors or advisors well, and you have to give them time to write these recommendation letters. To do this, you're going to have to email them what is required for the recommendation letter specifically. Some advisors will want you to draft out a recommendation letter. That's not too bad. In a way, you just talk about what you've done and why you deserve the fellowship. But it gives them an opportunity to just write about your work and just how much of a reliable candidate you are, and that you are a good investment. So really take your time, talk to your advisor, your professor, and give them a good time. Give them enough time to write a good quality recommendation letter for you. Okay, so the last point is to use grammar tools and have your advisor look over your personal statement and your research statement. This is very important because your advisor can not only give specific advice to that research statement, they can help you modify your research statement because of their expertise or industry experience to make sure your research statement not only makes sense but is competitive. And that's very important. That's a mistake I made when I applied for the NSF. When Although I received good criticism on some of the application, it's important to note that if I did have an advisor look over it, maybe I would have got the NSF. So I want you guys to not make that same mistake. So that's one thing. Using grammar tools, try to look over your paper and having an advisor, especially an advisor in that area, give you criticism on your personal statement and your research statement. That's very important because think about it. You're going to have a panel of people looking at your application. If your personal statement does not move anyone, then what did you really do? Do you really think you're going to, win that fellowship? If your advisor is not moved by your personal statement, do you really think you're gonna win that fellowship? Let's be honest, right? So I want you guys to really take your time and make these applications and try to follow the tips I made. And most importantly, believe in yourself. This is a segment where I think like it's important to know that you are capable. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't apply for a fellowship. What's the worst that can happen? You don't win it. Oh, okay. Most people aren't gonna win it, but guess what? Believe in yourself and believe you're capable. You may not think you're qualified, but they can think you're qualified. That's one of the reasons I got the fellowship. Because I believed in myself and I believe in you guys. So I believe these are all the tips that I have. Thank you for watching this video. It really means a lot, that you're supporting the channel. I wish you guys all the best. I know you guys can win this fellowship. Whatever you apply for, believe it, and I'm sure it can happen. Just put in the work, follow these tips. If you have any questions, please leave it in in the comments, and I'll do my best to respond. Have a great day, guys.